You're listening to Snippets from the Summit with your host, Scott McKay.
How's it going, gentlemen? This is your main man, Scott McKay, with another Snippet from the Summit. And today, gentlemen, this is an extremely important message that I have to give to you because it's going to, first of all, not only break stride from what you're used to hearing from me just a little bit, it is in the interest of helping more men without alienating any of you. As you guys probably already know, the gentlemen out there who are associated with movements like the Manosphere, the red-pilled guys, the men going their own way, they tend to be very critical of my work and have an adversarial relationship with me because I'm very critical of their stance on things. Well, here's where I'm going to come clean and I'm going to offer an olive branch to all of you guys who are feeling like it's just not worth it to socialize with women at all, let alone date them or, God forbid, get into a relationship with them. Listen, women can be awful. Women can be very selfish. Gold diggers abound. Online dating and especially the advent of apps have made women more entitled than ever because we as guys, what do? We get on an app and we swipe right on anything that wears a skirt, and women all feel chosen, and even the average looking ones or even the average acting ones, or let's call it the way it is, the flat out crazy and toxic ones think they're basically Disney princesses. What they don't understand, of course, is that when every guy has chosen them, none of them are particularly chosen. But yet it creates this very real social dynamic where women are feeling empowered and entitled. Coupled with that, you have what is a very real concerted target against virtuous masculinity, labeling us all toxic. Femininity at best is just trivialized, and women are told by feminists, for example, to become more, well, what we would think of as virtuously masculine, being the leaders and the providers and protectors for themselves. And at worst, women are told through the hive mind of social media that they can do no wrong, believe all women, the future is female, Me Too movements, all of those memes that go on in social media only contribute to an entitlement mentality. Entitlement mentality is by nature victimhood. You owe me something. Now, where we as guys can fall into a trap, and here's where I really want to reach out to you guys who have been embittered by women over and over, or even if you've really just been jaded at the hands of one woman who really fed it to you, took you to the cleaners in court, took half your wealth and basically left you alone and only seeing your children every other weekend. The victimhood can't come home to roost in us as masculine men either. I haven't really ever been against the men who don't agree with me that women can be wonderful, women can be fantastic and beautiful and sweet, and most of them just want to have fun and be good to the right man. I've never been against you. It's never been anything personal. It's simply in my heart of hearts, I am so vehemently against victimhood and so for self-empowerment, not only because it equals freedom, it gives you choice, it returns agency to us. It's also the masculine way to be. We can't be providers. We can't be leaders. We can't be protectors. We can't live up to virtuous masculinity when we feel powerless against what's being done to us. Now, for those of you guys who don't know, my first wife ruined my life. She went literally crazy on me. A lot of guys have a quote-unquote crazy ex, and they love to talk about it and share these stories on first dates with women, probably to the detriment of attraction, right? But my ex-wife, even years after our divorce, was out to pretty much ruin me, alienate me from our daughter, who has always been a wonderful, kind-hearted, sweet child. Indeed, took half of the wealth in the family at the time we were divorced and pretty much squandered it. I mean, pretty much is a euphemism. She took great pride in squandering it. The nature of her mental illness, or part of it at least, was such that anything prosperous must die. It would have been very easy for me to say, look what this woman has done to me. I am going to put a protective hedge around myself, and I'm never going to let it happen to me again, and felt like I was taking charge. But you see, as I've always said, when we let one person or even a few people in our life control how we think, how we act, and indeed reign supreme over our potential happiness, if you'll oblige me such a strongly worded phrase, what we do is we give the exact wrong people in our lives superpowers over our happiness and over our success. Let me tell you about my ex-wife. Do you want to know what chagrins her more than anything else in this life? I'll tell you. It's my relationship with Emily, and that it's happy, and that her schadenfreude, where she hopes we fail, and I must love the 2 children I've had by Emily more than I love the daughter I had with her. All of that is failing in terms of what she would have liked to happen, because it's succeeding for Emily and I and for our children. That is my best quote unquote revenge against someone who hurt me. Another thing you guys don't know about me is I once had the very awful experience of giving a victim impact statement in court. It doesn't matter who it was for. It doesn't matter the circumstances. But what I said in culmination of that is a sentiment very closely related to what I just described to you. You will not have power over our life anymore. We will forget about you. We're moving on, and we're going to be happy. Because you see, when people are not very nice people, when they are indeed awful and they have bad character, they get off on making people unhappy and miserable. And see, here's the thing. Those of you guys who are blessed with being optimistic and generous, perhaps you don't think this particular podcast applies to you. Listen, we have a hard time believing anybody can be evil, and when we don't believe they exist, they can potentially run roughshod over us. So no, you can't be Pollyanna-ish. You have to believe that certain women have to be avoided, and history cannot be allowed to repeat itself. This is where good men become jaded. This is where good men become bitter. And this is when they start thinking they should avoid all women because all women must be bad and terrible and toxic. But the greatest revenge is forgetting those people who've hurt you and empowering yourself instead not to project that anger and bitterness on every woman you meet from now on, lest you give that one or several women who have hurt you those superpowers over you that they don't deserve. In closing, let me offer you this. Consider how the root of all systemic racism, sexism, ageism, classism, whatever, is we see a group of people who isn't like us. We therefore fear them. And when we fear them, we dislike them. And then we lump entire social groups of people under one negative umbrella. Well, that's closed-minded. Just like all men aren't terrific and kind and generous and of good character, not all women are negative, terrible, of bad character. Don't let the women who have jaded you ruin you for happiness in life. Because guys, listen, I love each and every one of you as brothers. And I've never met a guy who was bitter and jaded towards women while still focused on women who was happy about it. Make your own decisions. Focus on the women who aren't raising red flags out there. Have the audacity to trust a woman who might not be like the ones who hurt you, and do due diligence to play it out. See how it works. That's my message to you guys today. Not only that I understand, I completely get that women can be awful. And yes, at least one woman has thoroughly ruined my life. But the gift here is your own agency, your own power, indeed, your masculine ability to lead and refuse victimhood once and for all. I believe in you, and you should believe in yourself. Want to talk about this? Have a viewpoint of your own, whether you agree with me or not? Scot at mountaintoppodcast.com. Be good out there.
As always, visit mountaintoppodcast.com for more.